Wow, we would have never believed this. You can listen to us on our podcast. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple. We're on Google. Go out there and listen to us when you're driving to work, or maybe when you're just sitting at home, or you're on the treadmill at the gym. Go on out there and listen to our podcast. So we're excited about it. We're glad you're excited about it too.
Well, Tom, do you remember?
That was cool.
You're probably old enough to remember this. Do you remember before they even made aluminum?
I was here when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. Lunch break. Hey, this is our Christmas edition, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm
awesome.
glad you dressed up as Santa today.
I mean, I'm fat, so Steve's working on that.
I didn't say that. You said that. So, hey, we're glad you're tuning in. Hey, we're hoping today our show is going to be informational because, Christmas is in a couple days.
I'm hoping it's going to be entertaining.
Well, you'll make it always entertaining, Mike. I'm sure you will go that direction. So, hey, as you know a lot about Mike and I, if you don't, here we go. I mean, I was a heathen for 34 years, and so I grew up celebrating Christmas as just knowing Santa and getting presents, and that was our whole intent and desire from little on up. And
we had Santa all growing up too.
Yeah, and so now I'm a believer. I got to raise two of my daughters through it, and so we're going to kind of do a this and that. So we're here today, and we're just going to talk about Santa or no Santa. You want to start, Mike? You want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and start.
Well, I grew up as just Santa. Santa was the guy. Santa was my man. Christmas time, there was no presents on the tree on Christmas Eve, but Christmas morning he delivered. I always did think it was weird when I got older. My mom and dad were asking us, so what are you guys wanting for Christmas? I mean, we did the whole sitting on Santa's lap,
Yeah.
I look back and I'm like, I don't know if they do that anymore, but that tradition, I'll leave it there.
Well, I like I said, I grew up with Santa, and I remember thinking that
you didn't think sitting on Santa's laps was weird?
Well, it was my grandpa, but but I remember thinking when I was little, I was like, so I asked my parents, I was like, hey, so Papa always leaves when Santa comes.
You started putting it together. How old were you when you put it together?
I don't know, like 14.
Oh, okay.
No. I probably.
So you were still sitting on Santa's lap at 14.
No, I was like probably maybe 7 or 8.
Oh, he was. Fact check. No.
But then so my parents tried to kind of switch it up, and they had my uncle did it one year, and then they hired somebody.
So could you tell it was him through the beard?
No, I was young enough that I couldn't.
Okay.
So it must have been younger than 7, right? Mm-hmm. It's like I would have known my grandpa.
Well, there again, when our daughters grew up, I mean, you go back, let's look at the Santa tradition even, because, I tell people that there is a biblical belief in Santa because, he was a guy, and as legends have it, he was, he was kind of a bishop of Mara, dating back to the 4th century. Nicholas inherited a large amount of money, and he used his fortunes to help the poor. So he would give freely to meet the needs of people around him, fulfilling the commandments of Christ to aid the poor. And after his death, the Catholic Church recognized him as a saint. Hence, our common American, usage of Saint Nick's as a substitute for Santa.
Yeah.
I mean.
I always, it was a lot of fun growing up, and you grew up with Santa. It was fun, right?
Yeah.
We had a good time with that. So, we've kind of incorporated that tradition in our household. And I just asked Ludavia because I know, she has a clever way of presenting it. She has a real clever way of presenting it in a way that she's not being deceitful to the kids, but at the same time, letting us have that kind of tradition. And so she texted me back real quick. She says, I explained Santa as a spirit of giving, and that's why he can have so many helpers, because we all can have the spirit of giving. I say when we give a gift to a friend on Christmas without expecting anything in return, that's the spirit of giving, and you become a Santa Claus to your friends.
Yeah. Well, I think that goes back to even Saint Nick. I mean, it just the guy that the Catholic Church recognized because then
it was the spirit of giving.
Yeah, and the red was because of the red robes. The various bishops wore.
What was the hat for?
I don't know. I think his head was cold. I don't know, but we're not making fun of it either. We're just talking about it, because as I became a believer when I was 34, I got married to my wife Tiffany. We were both believers, and so we had Taylor and got all the ornaments. We still put the ornaments up, baby's first Christmas, and Taylor's 27. We have Tessa's first Christmas. She's 24. So it's fun to have those traditions, but we started to incorporate into it our belief in Christ.
Yes.
And then that comes in, well, I get so many people who a lot of times December is not Jesus' birthday. And I go, yeah, I'm pretty aware of that. Scholars, and you can go out there and look it up. We'll put a little clip out there, a little link you can go out to. But it's not obviously December 25th, because if you take the season that the Christmas story in the Bible comes from, it looks like it's more in the springish time.
Well, and that's one of the reasons, like in my family, one of the things we'll do at Christmas is Davey and I have talked about this. We've always made a point not to emphasize gifts. And Santa will bring a gift, and Mom and Dad will bring a gift, but they only get maybe 2 or 3 gifts at the most. And Santa doesn't bring the best gift; the parents do, and she does that on purpose. But she always, Christmas Eve, it's a book and pajamas, and then Christmas Day, it's 2, maybe 3 presents at the most.
I love that, because we're going to share some Christmas traditions from the cast and the technical crew that helped 511 Media Group happen. So hopefully you can adopt some of those because you have enough time to.
Yeah.
So I love that, because I think LaDavia talks about the pajamas in the book.
She does.
And
it's super cool. And she started that, when we were...
Even Nathaniel Tweed talks about how his dad reads the Christmas story through the Gospels to him, I think, in Matthew. So there again, whether you're Santa or Jesus, I think it's a choice, And
it doesn't have to be either or, both.
Well, you know what? This is where my wife and I stood with this. We wanted to be realistic with our kids. I mean, my wife actually was over a school, private school, and she was always, because you always had that battle. Do you tell the kids about Santa? He's a make-believe character, if you want to think it that way, or look at it as a biblical way and say he has a basis in the tradition, or look at it as celebrating Jesus's birthday. And we see that a lot from some of the believers in the earlier centuries, and even Constantine, came out and said we're going to celebrate it during the pagan gods,
and I think it's, growing up, I was like, oh, this is just, I didn't realize, it's not when Jesus was born, right? I think it's pretty well known.
So when did that happen? Because you realized that Santa wasn't real at 14.
I don't know. It was probably sometime like last year, but no, several years ago.
We kid around.
We do. And we kid around with each other a lot.
So there again, if you're out there, I mean, my wife and I just told the kids, this is a day that we reflect on Christ and his birth and celebrate that as his birth. And we do that with a lot of the world. A lot of people don't, and that's up to you. We never tried to push our faith or belief on you outside of the fact that we do know it's instrumental in our lives.
Well, but that really goes back to even our conversation about when we did the Halloween special, right?
Yeah.
It's it's not to celebrate the evil. Why can't every day be the Lord's Day?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the Bible says, be glad in today, because it's a day that the Lord has made.
Exactly.
My wife we used to sing that song, going to school every day with the kids.
So there's some people that are even super extreme. They're like, oh, you can't celebrate that day because it's actually a pagan holiday.
Oh,
it's like what? It's like. Really, Satan.
Oh yeah. You can.
The earth is Satan's dominion, right? So every day could be Satan's day. Well, we can make every day God's day.
We can make all of our audience mad and talk about the tree and the lights. I mean, you go look that up on your own. There's a lot of stuff, and a lot of people will bring it in there. But there's a lot of allegedly things or conjecture. But we're just talking about having a opportunity to have traditions with your families and start that kind of thing. So, you guys can, knock yourself out, take it or leave it. So there again, I'd like to talk about a couple movies that we've chosen that represent maybe a different flavor of Christmas to us. We've picked 2 action movies. One was a guy that I know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, in Jingle All the Way. And I thought it was fun. We're going to compare that to Die Hard. So, Mike, I think you've seen it, or at least you allegedly said.
Oh, I've seen both movies. Yeah.
So
it took me a minute to remember because I was like, I've seen Die Hard a million times.
So the character in Jingle All the Way is Arnold, and he promises his son that he's going to get him the Turbo Man, which is the gift. Have you ever been looking for the gift, Mike? Have you ever waited in line waiting for the gift? No. I did it once with my brother, and it was for a Furby, and My brother and I waited along for a line for a long time. The kids wanted a Furby. I don't know if you remember Furbies. But we did, and we had a great time being together. Even if that's part of what you do is Black Friday.
Yeah, that could be cool. I could see that.
My brother and I had a great time. We really did. We kept talking about doing it more. Of course, it was one of the things we didn't do. But we got Furbies, and we wrapped them up, and the kids got them, and they're like, yay, and put them aside and go to the next present.
And that's the thing, right? So, like, we've never really, like, for that one, like, the special gift, like, every year, it's like, we don't emphasize gifts, first of all. Like, that's not the thing. Right. And we don't like, we're not going to like spend hours and hours in line for something that, again, they're going to be like, oh, this is super cool for like 30 minutes and then move on.
Yeah. Well, so as you're out there, I mean, it's an opportunity. So this movie was based around a man making a promise that I'm going to get you the hot toy. And he goes in and they go into the store. And it's a funny movie. I mean, you have Arnold and Sinbad. I mean, it's a funny movie. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes didn't do it a lot of justice. I mean, they got like a 19% on Rotten Tomatoes. But hey, a lot of times I like stuff that Rotten Tomatoes.
It does. Rotten Tomatoes doesn't always agree.
Yeah. So basically, they all rushed the store. You know, one day that's going to go out, Mike. Do you ever see that one commercial with Target where the girl's like, open, 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 waiting for Target to open? That's not happening anymore because of, cyber.
It was really not that big of a deal this year at all.
Well, because of cyber. Everybody's ordering online. I think the pandemic kind of
I think
pushed us along.
I think I'd read at some point that like the Black Friday sales are way down.
Well, I think it's gone online. It's interesting because today I was watching Dr. Phil. That can date our show if it wants, but that's okay. We're not trying to spoof anybody here. So
I think they know it's around Christmas time, Tom.
Yeah, they know it's Christmas time, and it's not Christmas Day. This is our Christmas special. But Dr. Phil was talking. He had a panel on about the pandemic, which I think is very interesting. Mm-hmm. We've got a lot of people that we could bring on. Maybe we should do that. We'll just leave that in that corner. How it's messed up kids and stuff like that through education.
Yeah.
So it's messed up Black Friday too, apparently.
It did, but I think honestly the retailers kind of messed it up themselves. Do you remember the meme I sent you that was like the Black Friday meme, and it was like, $400, $400, and then it was like crossed out. It was like
regularly
700, regular 700, now on sale for 400. It's like. And that's what they do. And so, but people are not stupid. They've kind of like picked up like, oh, that's yeah.
Well, I my brother, when we went out after we got the Furbies, we went up to a couple of other places and realized that they only had a few of those, what they were advertising.
I remember this year I looked at a deal. There was some promo going on that, for this like $5,000 deal, they were going to knock off $50. I was like, sign me up. I was like, what is $50? Spending $5,000.
I know you love the offer up application too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
I was maybe spit out my water there.
That would be the first. But there again, so Jingle All the Way, they rush in and it's this really funny episode with Sinbad and Arnold. I think they're both funny guys. And they get to the toy and they grab it together. And there's something Who
do you think would win that fight?
I don't know. I don't know because I'm just going to say it. Arnold was a big muscular guy, but I never knew him to be tough. And I didn't. I mean, there again, I don't have Arnold's cell number. We just worked out in the same gym together for a little bit when I was real young and dumb. So, so a lot of people think just because you have big muscles that you can tussle. If you get a hold of somebody, you're a little stronger. Maybe I don't know. I'm just
winning arm wrestling.
I'm just throwing out there. That's Joe Rogan and The Rock's thing right now. They're beefing over that right now.
I think The Rock could take Joe Rogan.
I don't know. Joe Rogan, I don't know.
I like Joe Rogan.
I like them both. Yeah. We should have a show on this or that. Who could take each other. I'd pay to see it though.
Yeah.
Just saying. I'd pay to see that. So there again, and it talks. The whole thing is they go to get these knockoff Santas, and I love they go. They're in I think it's the settings New York, and they have they get all the Santas in town mad at them. They have like a Santa shop chasing them. So I think it kind of ruins that too because there's a lot of Santas out there. I'll just say that if you want to believe in Santa. So what do you think about that? Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way. I don't remember it. Like I remember seeing the movie, but I don't remember it being like, oh man, it's one I watch every year, right? Because like we watch at my house, Elf, Home Alone, What's the other one? They're watching Christmas Vacation right now. There's some that we watch every year, including Die Hard. But
we're going there.
Jingle All the Way is not one of them.
Well, I just think that it'd be something.
Fred Claus.
Yes. I think this is just something that our maybe you and I like is that. So let's go to Die Hard.
Okay.
Because I do believe Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie. I don't care what you say, Alex.
There is a huge disparity. I mean,
how can anybody say it's not a Christmas movie?
They do. It's got all the elements.
I mean, everything about it is Christmas.
I mean, you got Bruce Willis when he had hair. He was young.
Yeah.
You know,
and now he's kind of fat like Santa.
Yeah, you just said that. I didn't. So the whole idea was he was that character, John McClane, and he's coming out to see his wife. And there's a funny line in that movie where he's in the, I think he's crawling around in the air conditioning duct. Don't, if I'm wrong. But I'm saying he has a line there. He said, he's thinking about what his wife said on the phone. Come out to the coast. We'll get together. We'll have a few laughs.
Yeah.
And I think those one-liners that Arnold and Bruce Willis always came up with, they were always, I mean, everyone's
I
still.
think I'm going to go home and watch Die Hard tonight.
Well, I'm going to watch it before. I'm going to watch Turbo Man. I mean, not Turbo Man, but I'm going to watch Jingle
You know what?
All the
If
Way.
that movie comes out, I'll watch it with you.
Yeah.
Turbo Man.
Yeah. Well, they'll have it, I'm sure. Oh, Turbo Man, if it comes out. So, well, it's funny because the main line on Turbo Man, as far as Turbo Man goes, is "You can always count on me." That's that famous line. I love it because there are one-liners. Hey, when I was He-Man for Mattel, we have the one famous line that I would say more times than I'd want to, and I can't believe I'll say it now. But He-Man, when he was turning into He-Man, would lift up the sword and say, "I have the power," and then boom. The Battle Cat would turn into It was just
Masters of the Universe.
There's always a catch line in those movies.
Right?
So yeah,
there is.
But Die Hard was good. It was a good movie. It had a lot of funny lines.
Did you ever see, which I think also took place on Christmas, the second Die Hard movie?
Huh?
We were talking about that earlier. Horrible. Horrible.
Why is that? I mean,
the rest of them were like kind of okay, like watchable. Like some of them were even good. Second one, horrible.
Where did Rocky end up? I know. Was there 6 or 7 of those?
Yeah. And Rambo.
Rambo and
I read something on Facebook.
Terminator.
I read something on Facebook earlier that said, "Oh, Rambo actually, or I think it was First Blood, actually took place on Christmas too." See, there's a Christmas tree. Like Alex posted it so they could see. So I'm not just making this up.
Yeah. So hey, we did this or that on that, and I hope you enjoyed that. So Mike, I got a couple things too. Do you guys do real tree or fake tree?
So the last few years,
when I say a fake tree, I should say artificial.
Kind of the same thing, isn't it? The last few years we've done.
I think they're made out of different materials.
Artificial tree, fake tree.
Hey, I had the aluminum tree that had the lights on it.
That is a fake tree.
I'm that old. Where my mom and dad, we were 60s, and we had the aluminum tree with the lights.
Well, Tom, do you remember?
That was cool.
You're probably old enough to remember this. Do you remember before they even made aluminum?
I was here when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. I remember Fred Flintstone.
Yeah, there was another thing about that the other day. They were like, "What are they celebrating?" This was BC. they had a Christmas special. It was like, wait a second.
They confused us when we were young. Okay.
So yeah,
they weren't politically correct. They weren't religiously correct. They just
were.
And they didn't insult us. We just watched it. It was cartoons. It was like, yay, Christmas.
But the last few years we've done a fake tree or artificial tree, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Don't hurt my feelings. I prefer a real tree.
This one's artificial.
But the thing is, like, to get a decent real tree, they're astronomical in price. And then if you wait too long to buy them, you can't get a good one. If you buy them too early, they're dead before Christmas. And then you got to deal with all the pine needles. It's a mess. I love the smell. I love the real tree, but there's problems with it, right? We do the artificial tree. It's easy. Like, you put it up, you put it in the garage.
I'm not sure they're easy. I got a funny story.
I don't have to drive anywhere to pick it up. It's in my garage.
Yeah, we've all seen Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
Well,
the squirrel.
I do have a funny story with that because my wife bought a Christmas tree once from Costco, and it was a big one. And
a real tree or a artificial?
Artificial, and it was 11 foot. Now, I know it was 11 foot because I knew my roof was 10 and a half foot. So my wife, it was 11. I said, that won't fit. She goes, well, I'll try. I go, well, I built our house.
It doesn't work like that.
Mike, I built our house, ceiling 10 and a half. She goes, we'll see. I go, not going to work, Tiffany. The tree won't. So I had put it up, and it got to the top, and it was like right there, and she got up there, and she tried to put the topper on. It was, I go, the whole roof's 10 and a half feet. I go, it's not going to fit anywhere. So we had that tree, and it did. My wife would put a neat little top on it. It would like touch the top of the roof every year. So we had that tree about 4 or 5 years. So I used to always laugh about it when she brought an 11-foot tree home, and I just said, it's not going to fit. She was like, I'm going to try to.
There was no attempt to take it back. You just tried to make it work.
I humored her, and it was one of those moments that, I was right, allegedly.
Allegedly.
But the 11-foot, the topper of the tree didn't fit. So we do artificial, and I know why now though, Mike, because you've been around me. Last couple of years after COVID, I've got a pine allergy. It's a pine allergy.
There's a fig tree here.
Well, I couldn't sit this close to it because I would just stuff up, and last year I lost my voice. We got some episodes. I didn't know what was going on until my doctor said, hey, I think you have, you're allergic to pine trees. And I go, well, I'm not around live ones. And then I thought, church.
Sometimes I think my wife wishes I would lose my voice.
Get a real tree. No, I'm just saying. But we have some fun memories because we used to get a real tree. And if you've seen Christmas Vacation, that one where Snots the dog is like licking.
Oh my God.
I had a German Shepherd that we adopted from the military, and he would drink the water. And my wife would go, "You're gonna kill the tree." I go, "This sounds
it's
just
already
like
dead."
Yeah, no. So it was a really funny thing. My daughter and Danny just got a live tree this year, and their cat, which Tessa got, and she'll share her cool Christmas story with you. And this cat, it was a live tree, so there was a lot of smells on it because I think a lot of other animals climbed up this tree. And I was telling Danny and Tessa that cat's gonna climb the tree.
Yeah.
And it did, and the tree fell over. They came home the other day, and I go, artificial tree would help that. The cat was climbing all the way to the top.
She thought it was a tree.
Yeah, well, it was a tree. It was a real tree, and it had smells on it, too, that the cat...
It was interested.
Yeah, very interested in, because there was live animals that lived in that tree.
So the Die Hard made way more money than Jingle All the Way.
It did. I love that.
And not that much like in total revenue more. And they did make more in total revenue, but profitability hugely.
Yes, I mean I think Jingle All the Way cost $75 million to make, and the box office says $129 million. Round up, it's $130 million.
Yep. And
the budget for Die Hard was $25 to $35 million. I don't know why the accountant probably couldn't get closer on that one.
It was.
That's not a rounding up error.
It was the 90s. They couldn't count that, or
I don't know. But the box office.
That's when I went to school. Maybe that's my problem.
The box office was between. It was about $141 million. So they did a great job, and the budget was low.
Yeah.
And it's a great movie.
Oh, it's a classic.
I know.
I'm watching it tonight.
So Mike, what do you got? Christmas cookies are a big thing, where you have the gingerbread or sugar cookies.
I love gingerbread.
Last night we had the 511 Media Group Christmas party, which was so much fun.
And we won't tell Steve what I ate.
Yeah, I won't. If you want to lie to him, you can. If you want to lie to him, I can. It's none of my business. Well, but there again,
we had a great time.
We had a fantastic time. The staff did a great job, and we had a lot of fun games, and realized that I can't juggle 3 balloons in the air. So,
but apparently somebody can. Who won that game?
Nathaniel Tweed. He did. He was very creative.
I'm not surprised that he won either.
I thought a lot about his technique, and his technique was very solid. I was trying to juggle him, and there, and he was like keeping them together. So it was like herding, cats.
And then his girlfriend won the other thing. She was.
Hey, I like that. But there again, last night you saw me eat something at your party. Did you know what I ate between cinnamon and sugar?
Sugar cookies.
I did. I went right after those sugar cookies, didn't I? Yeah, I love sugar cookies, but
Smith's Bakery.
Yeah, they don't love. They don't love me.
They love your stomach.
Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day for presents.
Well, we kind of do both. We do. Kind of was talking about that earlier. We give like certain gifts, like, and it's always every year. And Ludavio's gonna do her little thing on that. But we do. Our book and our pajamas.
Yep. On
Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the rest of the presents.
I like it. You like giving or receiving?
Giving.
Yep, I do too.
Especially with people that I love, right? Friends and family.
I know. Pumpkin pie or apple pie?
That's a hard one.
Oh, I'm pumpkin all the way.
I like both, but I think I like apple cobbler, but I prefer pumpkin pie. Between the two.
Yep. Sweaters or shirts?
Shirts.
I like sweaters. You can tell.
Slaying it.
Mistletoe or a wreath? Now, if I'm a single dude, I might be going mistletoe.
If I'm with my wife, a mistletoe.
Yeah. There's no question about that one. I'm like, ribbons or bells?
Ooh, bells.
Elf or Grinch?
Grinch.
I know. That elf on the shelf's been a big deal.
The Grinch for me is just so many good classic Christmas memories of growing up and watching the classic with Thurl Ravenscroft. You know, because you were in your like 40s when that came out, right?
Yeah. I still like Jim Carrey.
You were a kid, right? When that came out, the original, like the
original.
Or was it before you were even born?
I don't know. I mean, I was born
in the original Grinch.
I was born in '58.
Dr. Seuss.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Alex, in post, bring it up.
Yeah, there again. I told you. Yeah, I don't mind sharing my age.
I just like to tease the old guy because, and you know what? I can tease this old guy because he's the only old guy I know that can run circles around probably everyone watching this video and most of the people in this room besides myself.
I don't know about that, but hey, I love doing this. We're going to now show our cast and the technical group that makes this happen. We're going to show their videos.
Okay, so my favorite Christmas story, and I have a lot of them, but the one that comes to mind is from last year. So we're in the house, my wife and I, and we hear the kids screaming in the front yard. Not like any bad way, just kind of excitement. And the neighbor kids are screaming too, and we're like, "What's going on?" So we come outside, and the kids are screaming, "There's Santa! Santa's in the sky! Santa! It's Santa!" So we look up, and sure enough, there's a trail going across the sky, and we're like, "What is it?" So I'm like, I knew what it was. So I was like, "Oh, okay, that's super cool, guys. Oh, cool, yeah, that's Santa." And so anyway, we went inside, and my wife pulls me aside, and she's like, "So what was that? That was kind of weird." It's like, "Oh yeah, that was SpaceX. That was Elon launching a rocket." Anyway, thought it was funny. Kids thought it was Santa, but super cool.
Mike, I love that. Isn't that funny? Elon, he's in the news.
Yeah, big time.
And he made you guys' Christmas last year.
He did. It was actually a really cool story with the kids, and they got a kick out of it.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about, making memories with your children.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know you're flying now, and I thought you were going to say it was a contrail. Because that's stuff. Yeah. Hey, I love to do Christmas traditions. I hope you do. If you don't, hey, establish some. So day after Thanksgiving, we put up Christmas tree lights. My girls were inside with my wife. She was decorating the tree. She does a great job. Look behind me. And as we were doing that, I was on a ladder putting up the lights, and the ladder started tilting back after I waved hi to the girls. And I was like going backwards, and I fell into some rose bushes. The girls ran out. I popped up. They go, "Are you okay?" And I go, "I'm just fine." Really wasn't, but I was saying I was fine. But we always had fun with that. I didn't get hurt and didn't have a trip to the hospital or the ER. But then we also do football cards. Since the girls were young, for the last 26 years, we get football cards and we open them up on Christmas Day or the day after and have a great time. Girls have collected some amazing cards, but it's just something we do together. Now my son-in-law Danny and I do it together with Taylor and Tessa. So here we are. I'm doing this with the Christmas special. Brandy and Tom, Merry Christmas.
So is that the 11-foot tree, Tom?
No, that one is not 11 foot. My wife picked up one, and I think it was like 9. Yeah.
So now I know what you're talking about the other day, because I remember I said, "Did you get your cards? Did you get your cards yet?" And you're like, "Yeah, I got them." I was like, "Oh, cool." I was talking about the Trump cards.
Oh, I know. We have the cards, Christmas cards in the back. Well, it's funny thing because I remember that, and we always talk about it. And I did fall into a rose bush, but the kids.
That's a funny story.
They will always remember that one. So there always is an element of danger involved, but you got to be safe.
Well, wasn't there something that happened this year too?
No, what happened this year is my wife. I was trying to cheat a little bit.
Oh yes, that's just right.
And because I'm starting to get a little more cautious of heights, it bothers me. And we have a tall arch in our house. And I asked my daughter, I go, "Could you go in and tell your mom that I'm not going to do the arch this year?" So Tessa came out and she goes, she says, "No, you got to do the arch." And I'm thinking, "Wow, you're kidding? You want me to hurt myself?" So I walked back inside because Danny and Tessa were out from Nashville, Tennessee. And I walked back in and she goes, "I want the arch done." I was getting ready to say, "I can't do it." She goes, "And my son-in-law's coming over to do it." So I walked back outside and I looked at Tessa. I go, "I guess your husband's coming over to help us with it." She goes, "He is." He came over and his little brother scampered up the ladder, got up there and just knocked it out. And his brother's like 14.
That's awesome.
So he had a good time.
Danny's a good dude.
Yeah, he was. So
we love Danny. Okay, so one of my favorite Christmas traditions, and this is something that started in the Harvey family as far back as I can remember, being little kids, but it was seafood. So it was always seafood. And my wife told the story about, go check that out, but about something funny that happened last year. But we make clam chowder, and not for everybody, but we loved it. Marinated octopus, clams, oysters, you name it, seafood, shellfish, we had it. Sushi, everything, the whole 9 yards. Anyway, great tradition. We had a lot of fun, and it's always really super good. And Steve, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, I repent for my diet. Oh, wait, but that's on my diet, isn't it?
It is. It is. Seafood is on your diet,
It
Mike.
is.
I like
it
that.
Is. So I don't have to break tradition.
I'm not sure I would classify squid as a traditional Christmas meal.
No, but it is in my family. No, we've always had all the seafood.
Hi, I'm Ludavia, and a favorite Christmas tradition we have is with our kids. We buy all of them new pajamas and a book to open and some treats to open up on Christmas Eve so they can change into their new pajamas, and we read them stories. It's really cute and fun, and I hope that we continue that on even in their adult life. And a story is last Christmas, my mother-in-law was coming over with the clam chowder. We always have some sort of fish for Christmas Eve, and she had to slam on her brakes and the soup spilled everywhere, and she didn't even want to come anymore. But we said, "Come anyway," and we ended up ordering pizza. We had pizza on Christmas Eve because it's not about the food, it's about who you're spending it with and about Jesus and his birthday and celebrating him.
I love that because you have a new tradition.
Yeah,
pizza.
Well,
I'm in on that one.
I think that's against my diet for sure. But it was. You ever seen that episode of The Office where Kevin brings in the chili? It was like that, but inside of my mom's car with clam chowder everywhere.
So did it smell like fish for a while?
Oh, it was horrible. And it wasn't really her fault. Like she got, had to slam on the brakes, and she was devastated.
I can imagine.
But you know what? Like, we rescued it. I called her. I was like, "Hey, listen, it's not a big deal. It's not about the food." I said, "Let me go down to Rose's. Rose's, great restaurant.
It is,
and we'll pick up some food, and just come over and we'll enjoy each other's company. Who cares about the food?"
I love that. Mike, just talking about that. Have you started cooking your fish in your home yet for your diet?
Ludavia has.
Uh-huh. Have the kids complained about the smell of fish yet?
No.
Okay. It's interesting.
Is that going to happen?
Yeah, they are. Especially if you bring it to work and you cook it in the microwave.
Well, we had the other day. It was funny because I'll tell this story, and Ludavia wouldn't mind. She asked me. She was like, "Hey, how was that meal or whatever?" I said, "It was horrible." She was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, it was like one of the worst things I ever ate." She's like, it was? I was like, yeah. She's like, but you ate it? I was like, yeah, I don't care what I eat. I just put it in my mouth. 5 seconds later, I don't remember the difference anyway.
LaDavie would love to hear your version of that story.
Hi, everyone. Taylor, Pastor Tom's daughter. A couple Christmas traditions that we have. My dad probably already touched on this one, but the day after Thanksgiving, my family and I always decorate our entire house for Christmas, and that has been a thing ever since we were little. So it's always something fun to do right after Thanksgiving, is to put up all of our holiday decorations, Christmas decorations up on that Friday, no matter the weather or how we're feeling. It's always a fun tradition. Another tradition some of my roommates and I have come up with is we all shop for the same Christmas PJs, and we all wear them on the same night and have like a little Christmas party, which is always fun. So it's always something super fun to look forward to every year. But other than that, that's some traditions that I have. But wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
There again, I love it when the kids remember those things.
It is. I thought that was cool. I was like, you talked about that, but she talked about that. So you started it, or you and Tiffany together, but your kids remember.
Well, you know what's so funny? If you're out there listening, and I could tell you that if you start a tradition and you believe in it, stay with it. Because we did it when they were little. So when they were little, they were like 5, 6, So they would come out, and as you're untangling the ball of lights, having children around, that doesn't make that job easier. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no.
and so as you're there, they tire out soon, and they're out riding their bikes, and you're left to do it. Mm-hmm. But you should do it because you'll catch on, because as they've gotten older, and I have a son-in-law, I have to do less because they're now taking over and doing the hard things.
Yeah.
But you got to help them, and they got to learn. Mm-hmm. Those are things that you got to let children do it. I love Alex is getting ready to be a new father. And there's just things that you're going to have to do a lot of, and now they're doing it. I mean, you're going to have Mikey and Dean and Luella. They're going to be doing some of the stuff that you guys have put in place.
Well, I think, and our kids are pretty self-sufficient. But one thing, and I think this is a good lesson for like any parents or young parents that are watching, or soon to be Alex parents, is like we've never told our kids that there's anything they can't do.
I agree.
And I know I've told you that before, but like can't is as much a 4-letter word in our household as the F word.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there's nothing you can't do. It might be difficult. You might need help. You might need someone to show you or whatever. But your kids will. I've always believed they will rise or fall to the level of your expectations of them.
You might get this because I'm going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to go right back to this. I always got to believe, and I think, Mike, you've believed in it, and we always share it on 511 Media Group, because with everything, there's a risk and reward.
Yeah.
And I think if you're looking at the risk, you're going to be hesitant, and there's going to be fear involved, but the reward is something, and that's biblical. I was telling somebody the other day the story of King David when he rode out to the battle lines where Saul and David's brothers and the Israelites were facing the Philistines and Goliath. And, as they were talking about it, David was kind of upset that the Goliath was demeaning his God, our God. And that kind of, made him upset. And then when he heard the king say, well, whoever goes out and slays this giant, he's going to get my daughter, Michael, and he's going to be tax exempt, his whole family. And so David's like, wait a second. What did he say the guy was going to get? The girl and no taxes? But I'm saying he calculated the reward versus the risk. And as a young man, he
I think I might do it for the taxes too.
well, if he lives in California, he might. But I'm just saying, there is always that. But it's cool because then he went out and he told Goliath, hey, you're defiling our God, the living God, and he's going to deliver you in my hand today, which is cool. But he did factor in the reward.
Yeah.
So.
Hey guys, Alex the editor here, and my Christmas tradition I think is a pretty common one for most families is on Christmas Eve we'll open a present each. So that's a simple one, but I was always fond of it, and once we got a little older, all the grandkids were like, can we still do this? And they're like, no, you guys are 25. And then we convinced them to let us keep doing it. So my favorite Christmas movie has to be Turbo Man, because I don't really remember any other Christmas movies besides like the obvious ones. But yeah, that's definitely my favorite that I remember.
But I love it because I love Alex talking about how he had a tradition when they were young, but they wanted to keep it up.
They did.
There's something about that. So good job, mom and dad, grandparents. I mean, you raised your son right and done a good job. So I love that, and I do agree. And I didn't know that he had liked Jingle All the Way, and as he just shared with us, he didn't know the name of it, but he remembered Turbo Man.
Right.
You know, and I think sometimes those are the things you do remember as watching movies. Is you always remember something that's stuck.
Catchy.
Yes. Yep. And I like that. And I do like traditions. And I hope if you write them down, pick up some, make some up. Tell us which ones you do.
Create your own tradition.
Yes, I agree.
Hey y'all, Nathaniel here. So I have a couple of favorite Christmas traditions. One of them is every single year I like to watch a cheesy Christmas movie, but for the past 5 years I've been watching the same one every Christmas. And that is Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, specifically the one narrated by Mystery Science Theater 3000. That is by far one of my favorite cheesy Christmas movies of all time. The second thing I like to do is, my second favorite Christmas tradition is every single Christmas I go over to my parents' place on Christmas Day, and before we open gifts, before we really get into the day, we always read the Christmas story in Luke. And that has always been one of my favorite traditions. Even growing up, it was always nice just sitting down. My dad would always read from from Luke 2, and it was just always such a nice memory of us reading that and actually understanding the meaning of Christmas before we got into the presents and what the rest of the day held. But those are two of my favorite Christmas traditions.
Now, I've not seen that movie.
I think it's funny. He didn't put a desire in my heart to go watch that though. Yeah.
Well, wait,
it's interesting that he can watch it every year, though.
Well, I love when Nathaniel used to do claymation.
Oh yeah,
Nathaniel was.
He's so creative.
He is so creative. I think those artsy movies touch people's heart differently when you watch them. You know,
Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. That's just interesting.
Santa's a conqueror. I like that, and I would listen to John Tweed do the Christmas story.
He knows the Bible.
Oh my gosh, I can't think of a better person to do the Christmas story.
And he was
story.
my Bible teacher.
I like that, Mike. Hey, there again, I wish we could get Mike to do his John, to be able to do his exegetion, his explaining the Bible. He does a good job of that. I don't do a good job explaining that because my speech impediment just took over.
Hey, it's Abby here with MLH Productions. One of my favorite traditions that I had with my little brother growing up was we had this advent calendar, and it was like a red velvet, beautiful calendar with a crystal marker that you would put inside of each day, and each day had like a little pocket, and so you'd put the little crystal in there, and then, as the month flew by, the closer you got to Christmas, eventually you got to put a little crystal on the 25th, and it was just the most exciting thing to look forward to. To this day, it's a mystery where that thing even went, but I will never forget it. It was my favorite thing every single year.
Don't you love it? Her and her brother had a tradition. Yeah. They counted down to Christmas.
Yeah.
And that's what the Advent's all about. Is just each day kind of reminiscing and going through the day. So I love it.
And I want to give a shout out to Abby.
Oh, Abby
I'm very proud of that young lady, and she's joined our team recently, but she's really stepped up. She did a fantastic job with helping Ludavia with the Christmas party, and other things. I've dubbed her the official party planner of 511, and. But she's doing a great job. I just want to say I'm proud of her for a lot of reasons.
Mike, I am very envious of the staff that you do have. I think as you have Nathaniel, and I'm glad that you guys get to know who they are, because Mike knows me. I try to back out of the scene as much as I can, and I love Alex, who's so talented with directing and editing and splicing and doing all. If you haven't seen our shorts, Alex does an amazing job. He's got a great sense of humor, and he'll put things together that just are hilarious. If you haven't gone out there, watch the shorts, like them, do all that kind of stuff. And and then you've got Joanna. Oh my gosh, she's a great writer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Mike, I keep telling you, your emails minister to me every day. If you aren't signed up on 511 Media Group's email, you got to get them. Mike does a great job. But hey, FYI, I don't want to pop Mike's bubble, but Joanna is the brains behind that.
She is.
Mike might be the inspiration, but she's the brains, and she puts it together. And now you have Abby.
Yeah.
What a home run. There again, Alex, Nathaniel, Abby, and Joanna.
And Gabe.
Good. Oh, yeah, we got Gabe now. What the heck? Yeah,
he just got married.
Yeah, he did. That's why he's not
here. Congratulations, Gabe.
Yeah, congratulations, Gabe. Good job, brother. So there again, we're trying to present you guys the talent that they have because, hey, there's more coming with 511 Media Group.
Yep, that's right.
So every year on Christmas Eve, my siblings and I would have a slumber party in our room. And I have 10 siblings, and so that was like a lot of people packed in one room. But like we would all squeeze into multiple beds, and it was just like fun to look forward to and be able to spend time with each other. So yeah, and then we'd wake up really early in the morning and wake up our parents or watch TV while we wait for them to wake up. So that was really fun growing up to look forward to.
I love it. 10 siblings.
Yeah,
they have that. There again, I think the Monhays and Joanna's family, when they come places, they're a force.
They are, because
they help wherever they go. Joanna's just been a great help,
yeah.
I love the fact that she said we'd watch TV when the parents were waking up. My kids have a complaint about me on Christmas because I do work for a church.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas Day, there's two things we say: we got to do Christmas and Easter well. That's our Super Bowls. We got to be able to do those. And a lot of times we have church on Christmas Sunday or Christmas falls on a Sunday like it does this year.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times they'd have to wait till I got home. And, as we've talked about, they go, that was always hard, Dad.
Well, what's kind of remind me of something. She said they would always have a slumber party.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I totally forgot about this. But for the longest time, even after all of us kids were grown and moved out of the house, we still lived in the same city as my parents. We would always go back home. This is before we started having a bunch of kids of our own and everything. We'd always go back to my parents' house and spend the night on Christmas Eve and wake up Christmas Day together and do all that. We were all moved out and married and everything else, but we would go home and do that. So.
You want to hear what two heathen boys would do after our parents went to sleep?
I don't know.
We would both.
Is it PG?
Yeah. My brother and I would get up and we'd go in and we'd open all the presents on the corners and put them back together so we wouldn't know.
That's funny.
Tim, I had to rat us out. I've never said that publicly.
I bet you it's not just heathen boys that do that.
Yeah, probably not. We didn't have anything to repent for because we didn't get the
You didn't get the memo on that?
We didn't get the significance of that. We just like, hey, they're asleep now. Let's go get the preview.
Right.
And let's act excited the next day. We'd always be that way. But my mom and dad, they probably knew that because I knew when my kids did stuff. So, yeah.
So
hey,
that's all of them.
I love it. I love it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope this is something we're trying to bring to you guys and our audience because we appreciate you guys and we want to bring something that has value.
We do.
We believe and this is our mantra for 511 Media Group: faith, family, and freedom.
Yes.
And if you don't have faith, you need to have faith in something. Because you're believing in something. We're choosing to believe in Christ, and we have faith in Christ, and it gives us freedom and family.
Yeah.
And so, hey, hope you have a wonderful Christmas. Make some traditions.
Merry Christmas.
God bless.
God bless.